For some reason, all I want to say is good morrow instead of hello. Good morrow, my friends. But welcome, welcome. What an introduction into our April Plan With Me video. This is something that I've been thinking about the theme for a little bit now, and I'm very excited to share just like a frog toad-ish theme with you all for this month. It is officially spring and it's warmer outside, so I kind of feel my soul coming to life. And this time of year in the South, you hear a lot of frogs and things outside, so that's definitely what inspired me. But it's been, oh my gosh, it feels like it's been, I don't know, a day since I last made my March video, but I actually recorded this quite early because I knew I'd be on vacation for that last week of March. So there was no procrastinating here. There was only get done with all that I need to so that I can share this with you all. If you do happen to be new to this channel, each month I paint a small painting for my bullet journal, really for myself, so that I can try and spend some designated time being creative, because we live in a world where like all of our hobbies take the absolute back burner, and our job, if you have kids or a partner or anything like that, like like your hobbies take a back seat most of the time. And I said, no, this year I will be doodling, I will be sketching, and I will be painting. And so I love to take advantage of painting something and using that to kind of kickstart my bullet journal for the month so that I can make sure I am organized and very, very planned out. So yeah, I'm gonna paint here this little frog very soon. I am by no means an expert. My degrees in school were not art focused in the slightest. But if I could go back, I think there's a part of me that would definitely have given it a chance and wouldn't have kind of talked myself out of that. I love the pathway. Gosh, people are too complex to just have one thing that they love to do. So, but if I would have gone back, potentially I could see it have happening. But regardless, I am still glad that this does get to be a part of my life in some way, shape, or form. And actually, the day that I am recording this, I have been working all day long, and I do not think that I have stopped talking that entire day. So as I paint the background and some of these leaves, I'm going to put on some very peaceful music and give myself a little rest. And I'll jump back in just a few moments so that I can talk to you about this little painting in a little bit more depth. But I shall return. And so it was right about here that I realized I was kind of just drawing leaves and vines a little bit from memory, which probably isn't the best. So, and I had actually been sitting for quite a while at that point. I sit for my job too, pretty much all day long. And so I've been trying to take breaks and go for a walk, or I've been doing a lot of yard work to prepare my garden. I'm very excited because I'm getting into trying to keep track of other projects I'm doing too, and planning and design for something like a garden. So I'm very excited to make videos on that too. But I went outside and was doing some landscaping. We have such beautiful vines. My husband and I, we own a little log cabin, and it has trees around it, and I just love the nature and the kind of cottagey feel that our home has. So doing some landscaping, I was taking some leaves and kind of putting them to the side, and was getting a lot of inspiration. So I feel like when I came back and I washed my plate and I added some new paint because my paint started to get a little bit tacky, that I could go in and be a little bit more realistic with what I saw in nature. I noticed like it's not all just a kind of generic vine. I did these at the bottom here, these kind of almost like heart-shaped. I don't know the official name of what anything's called, but like heart-shaped leaves to kind of match what I saw outside. We have these purple flowers. They look like little violets on our ground too. And it just was giving me I don't know. And most things give me nostalgic feeling because that's how I am. But I really enjoyed this part where you've kind of done all the hard work. You've built such a base. And I have lots and lots of different layers, and that's how I like to paint, is kind of not all in just like working from one corner to the next. It's layers and layers where I've got a lot of these darker kind of vines and leaves in the background, and you'll notice I'll kind of add to the same paint blob, if you will, on the left on my little paint plate that I got for 25 cents. Which I'm very proud of my little paint plate. But I will kind of add white or yellow or just some different colors to my main blob of green. And that way I'm not kind of wasting too much paint. I'm always trying to avoid that if possible. So I am just taking that, adding a little bit of white to it, getting these kind of vines drawn in here. I am not the most graceful. I try to be, but I'm clumsy and I can be heavy-handed. So this, you should have been there. I was holding my breath trying to get these kind of vines in between the leaves to be really, really thin and beautiful, and it worked. So very, very proud of that. But yeah, this stage was really fun. If I could go back, I would maybe add some stars in, or maybe like a lightning bug or something else to make this feel like a really full and cohesive piece. But I can tell you that I was avoiding at all costs filling in this mushroom. I had already gathered a lot of my inspiration images for this month, and it's a lot of the frog inspiration photos, there's a lot of green, but there's pink flowers, and there's pink words, and there's like some purple tones in there too with some of the images that I used. And so I didn't feel like for this mushroom that red would actually work, even though that's one of my favorite types of mushrooms to draw. Fun fact, I actually play D&D, and I have a pet mushroom named Myko in our campaign, and he is my pride and joy. So I tend to be very fond of mushrooms. They like come up in my art quite often. If you saw my D&D notebook, I often kind of get in trouble because I will zone out and I'll draw mushrooms kind of everywhere. But I did decide as I was painting, I want to call it the undercarriage of the mushroom, but that seems odd and probably not right. If you know the proper name for the underside of a mushroom, what would that be called? I'll have to search it up later. But I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic with my paintings. I know that this is nowhere near what realism can actually be, but I have been trying to practice a little bit like more and be better about kind of having some clear shadows and highlights, because that's really what makes something come to life. So I laid down a kind of darker, almost like peachy flesh tone here. And then you'll see I kind of go over, because in those kind of divots on the mushroom, on that underside, it's very like flap-like. All sounds so weird, and my descriptions are leaning very, very odd, but you know what I mean. Like within those kind of folds, almost like fabric. The kind of like deeper you go, the darker it is. So I went over with some highlights. Now this is the color I chose for the mushroom. Again, my inspiration photos have a lot of pink and they also have a lot of purple. And so I feel like this will make sense when you see the rest of my bullet journal. Right now, I do not feel like it makes the most sense, and I just said I was going to be more realistic. I don't think this is a mushroom that exists. Watch me go out there and search it afterwards too, and be able to find that this is something that does exist. But yeah, it's a fun time. And you'll see me kind of go in and add what I would like to call finishing details. Sometimes I get impatient when I paint and I just want to like slap more paint on before I've allowed it to properly dry. So you see me kind of jump around quite a bit. And I wanted to kind of make these leaves a lot more lively. And there's a lot of leaves, at least around where I am, where there's some like discoloration. It almost looks speckled, the leaves. So I wanted to add some speckling to these leaves to make them seem a lot more, I don't know, realistic. They almost seemed bland because there wasn't any texture. There wasn't anything really going on those. So that was a really, really fun part. The part I saved for last. Like, I was nervous about the mushroom. You can always tell what I'm most nervous about for what I saved for the last thing to do. And that was the mushroom, and I'm still not done with it, but the frog. I thought about doing something that was more realistic, but I'm just not confident enough yet to be able to achieve that. I'd almost have to do a lot more sketching and kind of practice eyeballs. That's always really hard. So I went with something a little bit more cutesy here, and I actually really like how he turned out. Originally, I painted him with very similar tones to the leaves in the background, but I wanted him to stand out a little bit more. And so I went back in and kind of recoated him with almost this more yellow green. That way he stood out a little bit more. I almost wanted it to seem like light was shining on him, like he was brighter than his surroundings, because frogs can be so cool and like different colors and everything. So I went and did that. The other part, because I don't have crazy expensive paintbrushes. Actually, most of my paintbrushes are just the kind you get in one of those big packs from the store. That may hurt some artists' souls, but I work with what I have. And when I'm doing kind of really, really small details like eyeballs or small dots, you'll see me use this. It's not a paintbrush, but it has a wooden kind of handle, and a metal tip to it. And these kind of help you with making small dots. I think they're called stippling tools, and you just use them to make small dots, and they come in such a variety of colors. So most of the time, if I'm painting small eyes, when I used to make earrings and I would make little faces on my earrings, I always use that tool because it was much better at giving me kind of a better circle. I don't even recall if I ended up using it here, but if you struggle with making those kinds of small little additions, definitely consider doing something like that if you don't have a steady hand, because it'll just make the whole process so much more easier, or so much more easy. And then my favorite part of painting, I actually did a different video where I painted these little eggs, and I loved those. I still am, like, in my memory, so fond of those tiny little eggs because I could add so much detail, and it didn't take me 10 years because it was such a small little canvas. Versus this, it takes me a lot longer, but the little bumps on the frog, I mean, that kind of thing just makes me so happy to do. And you see it, you can really, like, if you rewind the video, even just like a few minutes or 5 minutes, you'll really start to see something come to life in those small details. I myself am a maximalist, but I'm also my worst enemy. And so sometimes I'm like, no, it's good enough. Don't ruin it. Stop. But I find that oftentimes if you push forward past that thought and you kind of enter into your ultimate maximalist territory, that some of the best, most detailed, most beautiful creations come from pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone. And the more detail you add is I think the better. Some may disagree with that statement, but I stand by it, at least for kind of my own creations here. You'll see me kind of go in at this stage. I'm always like adding extra dollops of paint to my little paint palette here, just because I want to add kind of little pops of color or different things here and there that I think will make it stand out. Now, I always do one thing, one tradition I wish I could break when I paint, and that is I always go back and change something that I probably made the decision of in the first minute I painted, and that was this background. I should have painted it black. It would look so much better with a richer, darker tone. I almost found that Payne's gray looking blue I made was very ashy, I guess is the right word. It looked dull, and I wanted this black to make the greens a lot brighter. And so I had to play with the background here in order to make it that way. And then I just peeled up my little painting, let it dry. I'm always a little more impatient when it comes to this, but someone asked me the other day that when I was showing them this video, not online, they were like, why do you use pretty washi tape? I use this kind of washi tape because it's see-through, and I truly don't use it a ton. On my other projects or in my bullet journal, occasionally I will, but it's a big roll, and the dots on it, even though they're really cute, help me make pretty even borders. I'll still trim it up, of course, but I like that it does some of that work for me. I have used like blue painter's tape before, and it's meant to stick really well, and it pulls up the paper so much, and that's so irritating to make a beautiful little piece of art and then just have it ripped a little right at the end. That crushes my soul. But I finished up with my little painting here, and then I did decide, you'll see there's a lot of weird lighting because and my desk absolutely changed. I decided, because it was such a beautiful day, that I wanted to finish the rest of this outside. And it was a little odd bringing everything I had inside outside and like lighting a candle in the sunny weather. I probably should have moved more out of the sun, but I really love the way the sun kind of shines in on my bullet journal and just feeling it on my skin. Wear sunscreen, of course, but it just kind of really boosted my mood. So I might try and do this outside. I wish I could do like a whole live voiceover. Maybe I'll try it one time, but it'll have to be really early in the morning because my neighbors, they are flying down that road and they hit that stop sign so hard. So not in reality, they don't hit the stop sign. You know what I mean. But this is my kind of inspiration mood pile. I want to say board, but this is not a board. My pile of inspiration photos. So many different kind of frogs, and I do think there's some toads in there. So yes, truly just trying to pull in a lot of principles from the spring season. And I am going to, for my next video, try and switch it up. I've been in such a mindset of trying to be comfortable, get comfortable again with bullet journaling, that I almost feel like I'm not trying new things and being creative on these other pages of my journal. So I need to get back to it. I need to learn new fonts. I need to break free. But I did, as always, I print this on sticker paper. I highly recommend sticker paper. I was wanting to buy like a matte sticker paper, but then one of my coworkers the other day was like, why? The gloss is like scuff resistant. If it would be nice if you wanted to draw on top of images, but she's like, that's going to be the most durable. I was like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. And I put my bullet journal through the ringer. Like that thing goes with me everywhere and gets beat up. And like, what if I spill something on my journal? All of my photos, like those kind of things won't be resistant. So I actually might stick with the glossy paper, and then it's like a little bit water resistant too. So sounds like a plan. I played around with a few kind of image placements here. It was really important. It's always really important to me on this first page to make sure I match the colors as closely as possible. So I have this kind of pretty lily pad situation, or just like greenery situation here. And then I use kind of my classic hand lettering, my cursive. It's not like a crazy uncommon thing that you see in bullet journals. It's pretty consistent. And at the beginning, if you watch my January video, it was bad. I had such a tight grip on that pencil. Truly, the progress you can make in 4 months. If you are new to bullet journaling and you're scared to do the fancy lettering, like give it a try and truly just practice, even if you use the same thing every month, because you will get it. You will absolutely get it, and you'll be surprised with kind of the muscle memory that you get. Now, I know I can improve still, but I am ready. I'm ready to try new things. Again, not in this video because I'm realizing this after I already made it, but it's something I'll definitely want to do in the future too. And I find myself kind of highlighting in the same way, so I'm wanting to break free of that too. But you'll notice for each month, I don't label just the days of the month. That just kind of has frustrated me in the past. So normally I do a overall, what are my big things that I want for the month to do? The big things on my to-do list to get done. For me in April, that is going to be planting things in my garden. That way I'm not missing my window. I need to go buy a lot of dirt for those plants. So wish me luck there, because I've got just a 4-door regular sedan, and I pile that thing with, I put it through so much work wood, 8-foot long boards of wood, so much dirt, a whole trunk of bricks. It's been wild, but I will do it. The next thing I added in here was my date section. That is where I include all of my important dates, just kind of the main ones, not a ton like every single thing I have due at work. That's not the goal here. Birthdays show up here. In April, we have Easter, so Good Friday and Easter will also kind of appear itself here as well. And then the thing I love most is it's like my topper. It's like, oh my gosh, you're almost done with this page. It's actually adding in stickers. So I added in this little, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is a toad, right? It's very bumpy, like a toad. Maybe it's a cross between them. I've always seen frogs as being like the smooth and slippery, and toads as being more like, I know they're still wet, but more bump-like. Is that the only difference? I must research this. Or if you know, tell me, because there's probably a simple way to distinguish between them. But where I'm from, I've seen both. I have absolutely seen both, so I'm not sure. But you will see me here. My camera is about to go out, and I missed like a whole section of planning. So I apologize. That's why this video is so much shorter. I mean, it's not crazy shorter, but most of the time they're 38 minutes long. Like, I struggle getting it under 40 minutes, and you can see how much time went by from the change in my lighting. I actually did kind of a page before, but I didn't love it, but it didn't capture on camera anyways, so I'm gonna pretend that it doesn't exist, and in my big bullet journal flip through at the end of the year, I'll show you. It's a weekly spread. Normally I do a few of these, but sadly it cut forward. And you'll notice, I will say, that I used a different coloring kind of scheme here. I wanted bright yellows because gosh, is pollen falling right now. And I wish you all well with that because I can't breathe with all this pollen. But yeah, I like playing kind of with different color palettes and showing how you can do one theme, but kind of interpret it in a lot of different ways. So I hope that you can use this as inspiration for your own bullet journal. I had so much fun. I always say that, but I truly do have so much fun kind of talking you through my planning process and my thought process here. But I hope gosh, I hope you, whoever is out there, is having just a wonderful day. I thank you for listening to the rest of my video, and I wish you a blessed month. I will see you again very, very soon. I've got lots of fun kind of creations and videos coming up, so join me for that if you'd like to.